What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle League content. In today's video, looking at an awesome Shoutcast with Keldeo in the Master League, core breaking those Kyurem-Steel cores with its fighting type ability. There's other Pokemon I've seen in the Master League, like Terrakion, I've seen some Cobalions, I've seen a Buzzwole, and yeah, they're in a really good spot right now because there's so many teams that are just outright weak to fighting. And Keldeo is looking to take absolute, just complete control of the Master League with this water fighting moveset. It's also got poison, so it does have play into the fairies that might counter it. In the lead, we're going to be using a Landorus, and in the back, we have the Palkia as what I imagine is a safe switch. So let's get into these games here with ZT Smith. Thank you, Trader, for submitting these battles. If you'd like to submit battles to the channel for Shoutcast, you can do so in the description and pinned comment. There's a link to a Google form and an exciting mirror matchup in the first game. I don't see a Bus Buddy Boost badge on ZT Smith's Landorus, so I'm going to assume the opponent, maybe they didn't have theirs active. But they do look like they have the same CP. We're going to see them drop in the Palkia here, trying to get that farm down, but we're drawing out Dialga. Probably not a bad thing considering that Poison type is completely... Oh, they don't have Spatial Rend? They have Draco Meteor. Trainers, everybody is like, man, if I don't have a Palkia with Spatial Rend, do I build a hundo without it? ZT Smith said yes, someday they will make it so that we can TM if we want to. Surely Scopely will save us from this purgatory that we've been put in. So now Draco Meteor is Palkia's move in this match, and probably all the ones that follow. We're going to see Landorus come in to force the energy off the Zacian here, as I'm going to fix that little teeny tiny TM. We're going to see them let go and put 2 shields into this Keldeo, which makes a lot of sense to me. Poison Jabs actually makes this a very farmable Zacian. Shield once, and then you got to expect, if you haven't seen Kyurem in the game yet, it's in the back. So, oh, they don't have one. No, they're going to go for the Landorus. Landorus will win CMP over Keldeo, and Keldeo is actually opting to give up this damage in order to be able to get this, keep the shield. So Aqua Jet would do super effective here. Unfortunately, no additional farm, but they're bringing in the Zacian. They must be very... Never mind. Not anything else in the back. I thought... That's why you shouldn't edit and cast at the same time. I didn't realize there was something else. Dude, I zoned out during that, trying to help fix it. But anyway, we get a really nice lead here with Zacian into a Landorus. Landorus is going to be firing off the Sandsear Storm before the opponent can get to any moves at all, which is going to drop the attack and make this damage a lot less effective. Even if they're going to go for the neutral play rough, the Landorus can easily just tank this, but it is a double nuke Zacian, which means all of its damage is going to be resisted. An opponent's going to bring in a Kyurem. Palkia is in the back, very happy to see the Kyurem, as it will be able to do very well. Going to bank a little bit of energy and then bring in Palkia with that attack drop. Palkia can survive any one move here, I do believe, and still farm down. So no shield is safe here. Freeze Shock, going to do a lot, but not enough. And Palkia is going to exit this matchup with shields and energy. Opponent is going to be forced to throw on the Zacian in order to not take any damage here. That means Wild Charge is going to debuff the defense, and Keldeo can come in and start farming down. Can you farm down before they get to a move? Yes, oh! Here comes the Aqua Jet, and Reappear is added to the list of things that get core broken just because Aqua Jet does how much? Hello, good game. Next game, positive lead, Landorus on floor. Just anything that's basically not ice is a good-ish matchup for Landorus. And it's not ice or water. Landorus is like going to destroy it because Sandsear Storm is just a powerful attack with the guaranteed debuff on the attack. If it can outpace what it's facing, it's a good matchup for Landorus, which it can to Florges here, as it takes 7 to get to the Moonblast, even if they throw it, which they seem to have Disarming Voice. There might be running the Disarming Voice plus Trailblaze set. I've seen that before. I prefer Moonblast myself, but that's all good. The opponent's going to be going for another charge move here, looking to try and put any damage they can, and it is the Moonblast. They have not changed their tune at all, still running the old move set, but that's okay. Keldeo's going to come in, and we'll see how Keldeo can do against the fighting, or with the fighting type damage that it has. The Kyurem lets it go, and honestly, Keldeo could 2-shield and farm this whole thing down, and then it really comes down to what's in the back. There's not a whole lot that Palkia and Landorus can't handle, but we're going to go for the Sacred Sword right off the bat here, just to guarantee we get rid of this thing or get a shield, and the opponent is opting to save their shields, and Rhyperior is going to come in. They have to go for breaking swipes here, and a Rock Wrecker would do more, but it's still resisted by Keldeo, and Keldeo is going to get a shield here, no problem, and in comes the Landorus, forcing the energy off this Rhyperior, hopefully softening up the matchups in the back for Palkia and Keldeo. Waiting out the clock here, we're going to see what ZT Smith is going to bring in. Palkia is going to come into play, and now the opponent not having a Shadow Rhyperior actually means that Palkia can live one of these breaking swipes quite comfortably. The Shadow makes it pretty rough around this half HP range. So opponent's going to be looking to go for some damage here. Palkia is going to let it go like Elsa. Keldeo's in the back looking to support. Elsa and Anna right here, man. This is it. This is, man. Opponent goes for a catch. It's not to be. Keldeo farms down. And then there is a Sacred Sword waiting for your Rhyperior trainer, and they know it. They're going to concede. Well played. Palkia on the lead. This is not one of the better leads for the Landorus, so we're going to see them go for a swap immediately into Keldeo. If it were me, just off the rip, not knowing this team, I would probably have maybe gone for a Sandsear and then swapped out after the attack buff. But then you have to maybe take a Spatial Rend on Keldeo, so I guess this makes sense. I was thinking about what if we did it the other way, but Sacred Sword's going to do half the Dialga's remaining HP, which was all of it, to be honest. And yeah, this is a real easy let this go. Landorus does its thing. Iron Head is unfortunately going to knock out, not allow Keldeo to get to another move, but Landorus is going to be able to come in and start getting a ton of energy and throw right before the Dialga gets to the Iron Head. Very nice counting here by ZT Smith. Is going to throw this move, knock out the Dialga, has a whole Palkia ready to go, and Dialga's out of the way. And what else is in the back? But most likely a Kyurem. And then comes the Palkia, the opponent. They have a Heatran in the back. Well, that doesn't look like Kyurem, and this opponent is actually looking like they just want to murder Kyurem no matter what they can do, running 3 of its hardest counters in the Master League, the Dragon types and the Steel types that have good damage into these Ice types are just, oh, and they call a bait trainer. No, I would be immediately quitting this game. There is unfortunately no way. The nice thing here is that Palkia can always live the Stone Edge from that range, so you're pretty safe to no shield anyway, so it makes complete sense why we called that bait. Then the opponent looks to try to go and full send the Stone Edge, and it gets shielded. Then we go into the Flying Rhyperior. Landorus is. Mow down the Palkia, and in comes the Heatran just to get farmed down. That's going to be a good game. Well played. Next game up, Landorus into Solgaleo. An amazing lead for Landorus. Not worried at all about this match. Opponent's going to go into a Kyurem Black and in. Going to go straight for that Sandsear. You could have potentially tried to build it to Stone Edge. The opponent could opt to no shield this if they want to, but just like we saw earlier, you get the debuff off on the Kyurem Black, and it's not going to be able to deal with the Palkia with a Freeze Shock, and it will need more than that, which means Palkia can simply look to farm down, but unfortunately, we throw on the CMP, and now we're going to be forced to shield the Fusion Bolt and waste the energy. Very unfortunate, but that's okay. I did it today too. I accidentally timed it so that my Palkia CMP'd as a Kyurem, and it did not go my way. But the opponent's going to come back in with Solgaleo. Landorus is still looking really nice here. Not a whole lot of HP for the Solgaleo to farm down, which is also really helpful to not make Landorus have to take an Iron Head right away here, getting a lot of energy before the opponent throws. And now ZT Smith is saying, it's fine, I don't need this thing. Iron Head's going to land, opponent's going to come in with a Palkia. And now, can Keldeo handle Palkia? I think it can. It just needs to get to 2 Sacred Swords, and I think you might be able to outpace. Calling this as an Aqua Tail that felt really quick, but at the same time, I don't think it was. I think that was enough because of the Landorus. But anyway, Sacred Sword's going to get that Palkia low where it could possibly get farmed down, and it does. It's unable to get to another charge move, and that's going to give Solgaleo a problem here as we can go for double Aqua Jet if the opponent doesn't throw in time to be able to intercept this energy, because, man, they're about to have a bad time. Keldeo can resist Well, they're not throwing Iron Head. They're throwing a Psychic Fangs here. If they can get to another one, they could win. The opponent not going to be able to make it to the Psychic Fangs. Keldeo's looking to rip an Aqua Jet. How much will this do? Aqua Jet nearly knocks out, and in comes the Landorus to snipe with the fast move Mud Shot and take that game. Kyurem in the next game here, we're going to see an immediate switch to the Keldeo. And this is one of those rare specimens on Dragon Tail. I saw quite a few of them on Dragon Tail. Honestly, before I even try it, I think that's a really smart idea, because giving the Kyurems their Dragon Tail / Dragon Breath fast move, which they do have aside from their respective Ice Fang and Shadow Claw. But what you get out of that is you get to destroy in the mirror. Kyurem White, Ice Fang, and Dragon Breath do the same energy, get generation, so you probably end up getting very similar everything out of that, just a different typing. And I think that maybe it could help Kyurem Black be a little bit more viable, because for me, I'm disappointed because the Shadow Claw never does enough, and neither do the charge moves. So I'm like, maybe it would be better if we had Dragon Breath or Dragon Tail. So this is, I think, is actually a really smart call by the opponent. But it doesn't really matter because the Kyurem is just getting mowed into the ground, and unfortunately, it's not going to be able to handle the might of the Palkia here. Keldeo did its job, I hope. It's going to come down to whatever they have in the back, and we get saved by the fact that there is a Ho-Oh in the back to a degree. Landorus is not super healthy anymore. It is in the yellow. The opponent actually lets that go. That might be their mistake, because we can almost live it, but they can't have back-to-back moves. But Landorus gets denied. Can it farm down before the opponent gets to another charge move that would be 2 Incinerates? I think they get the farm down here, and they do. Ho-Oh going down, saving those shields for later. Good game. Imagine they shielded that. They probably win the game. That's going to be a Rhyperior, and this Landorus is core breaking, as Rhyperior does not want to swap out of this matchup, which is incredibly strange to me. And that's why there's a Dialga in the back trainer. This Keldeo has Sacred Sword and or Close Combat. This is not going to go well for Dialga. It's going to take 50%, and I honestly wonder if they even get to the sword before, right at the same time. Now, knowing this might be an Iron Head, they're going to try and go for it and farm down, but Keldeo can get shield advantage here, and Landorus is not going to have to deal with as much energy because the opponent just decided to throw it. But no, they give up switch advantage, but that's okay. Rhyperior comes back in. Can Keldeo get to a move? It can. Sacred Sword flying left and right, going into this Rhyperior. Rhyperior is going to be shielding up here, and that first shield is going to go from the game. Now it's probably going to come in with the Landorus here. The opponent would be forced to really throw a Stone Edge, and at this point, no shielding, saving all shields for Palkia, saying, you know what, I bet there's a Kyurem back there, because Dialga is not a Kyurem, and there's always a Kyurem on the teams. Watch. There'll be a Kyurem back there. Palkia is just going to rip right through it. No opponent's going to be able to get to another move on the Rhyperior. That 1,000,000 energy, getting as many charge moves in as they need here. Breaking Swipe. That's a very funny looking Kyurem. You know what? I always knew that Kyurem was a blue deer with horns. I always knew it. But being able to go for these Sandsear Storms is going to permanently debuff the Xerneas, unfortunately, because they cannot swap out to clear it. And in comes Palkia after 2 debuffs. Moonblast is not going to be enough to cut it. And you can no shield and not even worry about it. Opponent with as much energy as they can possibly handle, but those debuffs are coming in handy, as Palkia is going to be able to live that move and go for the Aqua Tail, getting close to the knockout, but honestly, you just save the shield for the Landorus, and it can farm down. Well played. Next game up, not a good lead. This Enamorus is breaking the entire team, but let's see what we can do. ZT Smith looking to try and make plays here against Enamorus in the Master League, the biggest core breaker on the block outside of the Kyurems themselves. The Enamorus goes for a fly, and cheeky little bugger bait here. Knowing the opponent would get one shot by the Stone Edge, they do decide to shield, and with a shield advantage, Keldeo comes in to try and get a energy lead here as it shields up a potential fly. And I don't think it was a Dazzling Gleam, but the opponent comes in with Palkia. Palkia is going to have to go for Spatial Rend, and I think that Keldeo's got enough energy to get to 2 Sacred Swords before that can happen, putting this Palkia in a very low position here in this matchup. Opponent, yep, not getting to the moves. Keldeo is going to be making him sweat as it's going to launch the Sacred Sword. The opponent decides to commit the shield here, possibly looking for a farm down, but they're not going to let it happen. Nope. If this is an Aqua Tail, then that would be a good thing. They go for the Ren. They have to full send it. You have to. because now Palkia can come in shield once if it needs to, but this might just be an Aqua Tail, and I think ZT Smith knows it. Palkia doesn't care about these Aqua Tails. This damage is nothing, but the Enamorus is going to come back in and will have to take an Aqua Tail. It is very, very glassy compared to most Master League Pokemon. Aqua Tail nearly knocking it out, and Palkia gets the Dragon Breath down, and the opponent probably had something really weak to Palkia in the back. Good game. Really nice lead with Rhyperior in the next game. We're going to have the opponent stay in and get... Man, I wish that people would be this weak to me when I led my Landorus. Instead, I'll see the white Kyurems, and there'll be the one Kyogre that thinks it's still relevant in this Master League meta now. Man, going for the Keldeo to absorb the energy. It does force the opponent to go for the Breaking Swipe if they want neutral, which they do. Not nearly as hard hitting as the Rock Wrecker, but that's okay. Opponent's going to be going into the Dialga here, and now Keldeo can look to go for these Sacred Swords, hopefully, before the opponent gets to the move. If this is Iron Head... Ooh, we're going for a shield, looking to try to pursue another shield from the opponent or take out this Dialga. Makes sense. Palkia doesn't really want to deal with this in Landorus. I mean, it's healthy enough, but it's not going to be able to, farm down from this range here. So Keldeo is staring down the opponent. In comes Rhyperior, and Landorus hard switches in to match this thing, and then once again Rock Wrecker doing... Oh, it does do enough. That is right. That is the Shadow that's going to do enough damage to knock out. Now it's all down to Palkia and Keldeo. Keldeo and Palkia. That's shielding up a Breaking Swipe here because you have to, and the opponent's going to come in with the Ice Fang Kyurem. These Dragon Breaths will get the Kyurem very low into a range where a Sacred Sword will certainly be enough, but is this Keldeo going to be able to farm up enough energy? We're looking for the catch on Keldeo. Are we able to get to the Sacred Sword? No, the opponent is going to cut him off at the energy, but now this could potentially open Palkia for a farm down because the Fusion Flare, well, it would be enough at this point, I guess, but nope. Looking to go for the Aqua Tail and hoping that the Rhyperior cannot get to the farm down or get to a move for the Aqua Tail's reach, but not going to be able to make it. How unfortunate. Good game. Zygarde? What is this doing here? I thought Zygarde was history. Nobody plays Zygarde in Kyurem meta. No. Get this thing off my screen. It's degenerate. I hate it. Look, I feel bad using my... If I ever use mine, I immediately have to shower afterwards, okay? I'm just saying. Jeez, man. All right. Zygarde's going for Bulldoze. I mean, if you got it, you might as well use it, right? If you got it built, may as well. I just hate using it. It's like using an Azumarill in Great League. It just feels bad. Now, opponent might have Iron Head, Dark Pulse. It's all resisted. Keldeo uniquely resisting these moves. Opponent goes for the Dark Pulse and is going to be forced to take another Aqua Jet, as that Dark Pulse will not do enough. They're probably on Iron Head, Dark Pulse, if I had to guess. But this does set them up for a nice farm down if they can get to the move, which Landorus says no. Landorus is going to be going for another Sandsear Storm here, most likely, into the Zygarde. Yeah, there it is. They're going to be looking to go and inflict a little bit more pain onto this thing before the opponent, before we look to swap potentially into the Palkia, as two debuffs will make even an Outrage is not likely here. If they're going to run, they're probably running Crunch and Bulldoze. Opponent going to be going for a charge move. At this point, after these debuffs, it doesn't even matter. Outrage is going to do it, though. That is what matters. I thought they might have Outrage, but I'm like, no, surely they have Crunch, Bulldoze. Opponent has Palkia, or we have Palkia, the opponent has the Ho-Oh in the back, and they said, no, fam, I'm out. And honestly, I understand that pain. That's been fun, though, dude. Keldeo looks like so much fun in the Master League. I wish I had one that I felt good about building. I have an 11, 10, 15. You know how terrible that has to be for me to want to invest in the Master League? And so, yeah. But y'all are having fun with the fighting types. I love to see it. I'm getting sacked by them as well. But let me know in the comments if you're playing any special, funny, awesome core breakers in the Master League. I'd love to hear what you guys have going on cooking in the kitchen. But we'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you as always. Bye-bye.